What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. In this video, I'm going to be doing a penetration test with my Smith & Wesson Model 500, and I'm going to be shooting some Douglas fir 2x10 lumber, and I'm going to be shooting some Doubletap 400 grain hardcasts. And these have an advertised muzzle velocity of 1,800 feet per second out of an 8.3 inch barrel. And my revolver has a 6.5 inch barrel, and I have chronographed these loads out of this 6.5 inch barrel revolver. And I got around 1,615 feet per second of muzzle velocity, and that amounts to just over 2,300 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, which is the same amount of muzzle energy as a .308 Winchester rifle. So it's a lot of energy. Look at the size of this cartridge, guys. Absolute monster. It just looks like a tube of chapstick. Absolutely crazy. So what I do with this lumber is I cut them to 1 foot lengths or 1.5 foot lengths, and I screw all the boards together. You see these screws here. I put one screw in each corner so it holds them tight together. And this way we can see how many pieces of 2x10 lumber this Doubletap 400 grain hardcast can penetrate through out of my 6.5 inch barrel Smith & Wesson Model 500. And I have done a lot of these 2x10 tests with my Smith & Wesson Model 500. And if you're interested in seeing some of those, check out my 2x10 penetration tests playlist, and I'll leave a link at the top right corner of this video. And also, I did do a test with some other bear loads, and this particular load from Doubletap is basically a bear load or dangerous game load. It has a hard cast bullet, and the hard cast is basically just a harder lead. It's like lead mixed with antimony and tin, and it's like a harder lead. So it's designed for penetration through heavy bones and muscle, such as on a grizzly bear or a bison or an elk or a moose or some other type of large animal that is charging you and you need to stop that charge quickly. You want a huge bullet with a big flat nose, okay, like this one. And this is just an absolute sledgehammer. 1,600 feet per second, guys, out of a 6.5 inch barrel. That is just absolutely insane. And for all of my 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum content, check out my 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum playlist, and I'll leave a link to that at the top right corner of this video. And after we find out how many 2x10s this Doubletap 400 grain hardcast bear load can penetrate, I'm going to try to recover the bullets, and we're going to see what kind of weight retention we have with these bullets, and if there's any deformation at all, and what kind of penetration path occurred. Did it penetrate in a straight line? Did the bullet start to tumble? Did the nose flatten out excessively? These are all things you want to look for in a dangerous game bullet. You want the bullet to stay in a straight line as it penetrates. You don't want the nose to flatten out or deform. All right, you don't want any expansion or very minimal expansion. So we're going to look at all these things after we figure out how many boards it'll penetrate through, and then we'll compare the results of this test with other bear loads that I tested with the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum and other 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum loads. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. All right, guys, we got the Doubletap 400 grain hardcast. Wow, that is just crazy. Crazy power, guys. Wow. Wow. All right, guys, so I was actually pretty surprised by the results of this test. The Doubletap 400 grain Hardcast with an advertised muzzle velocity of 1,800 feet per second only penetrated through 5 pieces of Douglas fir 2x10 framing lumber. I was expecting at least 6 or 7 pieces, so that's actually not too good. And I'm going to pull these bullets out and we're going to take a closer look at them to see why they didn't penetrate so well. I'm guessing it's because the bullets are just not cast hard enough, and I think maybe the nose deformed too much and that caused a little bit of expansion to occur, which slowed down the bullet and decreased penetration. But we're going to take a closer look at those bullets. So one of them penetrated through 5 2x10s, one of them penetrated through 4, and one of them penetrated through 3. So pretty interesting. That's about the same amount of penetration as 44 Magnum hardcast bear loads that I've tested from Buffalo Bore and Underwood. So the Buffalo Bore 300 grain hardcast for the 44 Magnum, I can penetrate through 4 of these 2x10s, and same thing with the Underwood ammo 305 grain hardcast bear loads. I can also penetrate through 4 of these 2x10s all day long out of the snub nose 44 Magnum that I have, which has a 2 5/8 inch barrel. So I was really expecting a lot more penetration. Now the deepest penetrating 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum factory load that I've tested so far against 2x10s is the Buffalo Bore 440 grain hardcast, which leaves the muzzle of my 6.5 inch barrel at just under 1,600 feet per second, and that's around 2,400 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. And that one can penetrate through 8 2x10s all day long. So the Buffalo Bore 440 grain hardcast seems to be the best load for the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum as far as dangerous game protection goes. It seems to be the deepest penetrating of all the bear loads I've tested, and I've tested every factory bear load you could imagine. If you want to see those tests, check out my 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum playlist. So I'm going to go through each board one by one. So these were my 3 shots here, 1, 2, 3. And you can ignore these 3. This was from the 44 Magnum test that I did using the same wood. All right, but look at those holes, guys. Massive 50 caliber holes. And look at those exit holes, absolutely massive. And these are hard cast bullets. They're not even expanding bullets, but just because the diameter of the bullet is so massive, it functions kind of like an expanding bullet. Because it's just so massive, it leaves a huge hole. All right, look at that hole, guys. That is just impressive. Here's the second board. Look at these holes, guys. Gigantic holes in the wood here. Absolutely insane. And here are the exit holes on the second board, okay? Now, I want to also mention some results from rifle tests against 2x10s that I've done. So my 300 Win Mag using 180 grain cutting edge solids can penetrate through 15 2x10s, and regular soft point bullets for the 300 Win Mag, I can usually penetrate around 6 or 7 2x10s, and that's Accubons or partitions, something like that, controlled expanding bullets that are bonded. So pretty interesting results here. Here we have the third board, okay, and we're actually missing a piece here. But look at this gigantic hole here. This hole is just absolutely massive. I mean, could you imagine what that would do to living tissue? That is just absolutely crazy. Look at that damage to the wood. I mean, that is like, you know, a wound channel of 1 inch in diameter. Absolutely massive wound channel. So this was the third board. And here we have the fourth board. Okay. We have our 3 shots here, and one of them got stuck right there in the fourth board. Okay, you can see that bulge. And then the other 2 kept going. All right. And here we have the fifth board. You can see the bulge from that one that got stuck in the fourth board. All right. Here we have one of our bullets here, okay, stuck in the fifth board, just poking out the back of the fifth board. So almost 5 for this one. All right. It just kind of poked out the back there. But look at that damage to the wood, guys. I mean, I would hate to be hit with this bullet. That would just be absolutely painful. And then finally, here's our winner. Here's the deepest penetrating bullet here, stuck in the 6th board. And a little bit of a bulge in the 6th board, but not much really. Okay, just a very tiny bulge there. But it looks like it's in a nose forward position, which is really good. And here's a big dent in the wood from the other one. And there's our bullet, guys. That's what the bullet looks like. All right. So I'm going to pull these bullets out of the wood right now. And we're going to take a closer look at them. We're going to weigh them. We're going to see what kind of deformation occurred. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So I managed to recover the bullets. So on the left over here, this is the one that penetrated through 3 boards, almost 4. And these were 2 pieces that I found next to the bullet in the wood. So these 2 big chunks of lead broke off, as you can see. And then here in the middle, this is the one that penetrated through 4 boards, almost 5. And then all the way on the right, this is the winner. This is the one that penetrated through 5 boards cleanly. So I want to just show you guys up close what happened here. So just like I suspected, I think these bullets are not cast hard enough, in my opinion. And this is the one, for example, that penetrated through just 3 boards. And you can see how it deformed quite a bit. And there were no knots in this wood at all. There were no hard objects in this wood. I always make sure to purchase these 2x10s that don't have any knots or anything in them. But look at that deformation, guys. I mean, this bullet just completely sheared off a huge part of its nose, which is what I think this chunk of lead is. I think this lead belonged to the nose somehow, and it just sheared it off. So this is why we do these tests, guys. If you're going to be relying on ammunition to save your life in a dangerous game situation, whether you're hunting dangerous game or whether you're in an area where dangerous game lives, you want to make sure you test your ammo. And I'm not just talking about numbers, okay? It's not just what's the velocity and, you know, what's the muzzle energy and what's the grain weight of the bullet. It's a lot more than that. You have to test the terminal ballistics, okay? And here's the gas check, all right? And surprisingly, the gas check stayed with these 2, but the deepest penetrating bullet, the gas check was shed. But this is unacceptable, all right? If you're in a dangerous game encounter, if your bullet does this, it's not good, all right? Because this is basically a soft point, all right? This is not a hard cast bullet. And if this bullet did this in just regular straight grain lumber, imagine what would happen if you hit the shoulder bone of a grizzly bear, okay? this bullet would completely, break apart probably. It looks like whatever they use to cast this bullet, I don't know what company they use for these bullets. And by the way, I think that ammo is discontinued. I don't think they make that ammo anymore. And it's a good thing they don't, because if people were using this for bear defense, I think that, they would find themselves in a bad situation, because these bullets basically performed like soft points. And it looks like whatever they casted, it's a brittle alloy, okay? These chunks like this breaking off, that's very unusual for a hard cast bullet, all right? That means that they put too much antimony or too much tin, and it made it very brittle. Here's the one that penetrated through 4, and you can see how the nose just flattened out and it expanded quite a bit, and this is not what you want with a hard cast bullet. You don't want that. You don't want that mushrooming effect, all right, because that limits the penetration, all right? Now, you could use these for hunting, okay? These would be great for hunting because they don't explode, they don't damage meat, okay? You don't have to worry about lead fragments getting into your meat or anything. So these could be good for big game hunting, all right? If you're hunting elk or moose or something like that, these could be good, but I would not use these for bear defense in my opinion. All right, look at how that nose just completely flattened out. I'm going to take some measurements with my calipers, and here's the deepest penetrating one, and you can see this one didn't flatten out as much as the others. All right, you can see that nose is a little bit less flattened out when you compare with the one that penetrated through 4. You can see that it flattened out a little bit more. So I got my calipers here, and we're just going to measure the deformation. So let's see, we'll start with this one here, the worst performing one, and you can see how it deformed 0.67 inches, okay? Again, this is not supposed to expand, all right? This is a non-expanding bullet. It's not supposed to expand, so that's not good. Here's the one that penetrated through 4 2x10s, and it deformed up to almost 0.6 inches, 0.584 inches, okay, of deformation. And here's the one that penetrated the deepest, and I bet it has the least amount of deformation, 0.55. Okay, so as you can see, the deepest penetrating one was 0.55 inches in diameter at the nose after impacting the wood. And the one that penetrated through 4 boards, 0.584. And then the one that only penetrated through 3 was like almost 0.7 inches. So I don't know what kind of alloys they use in these bullets, but it's a good thing I tested these bullets, because I know I'm not going to use them for bear defense. These would be great for hunting, but I would not use them for bear defense. If you're going to use hard cast bullets, make sure you go with a reputable company, all right, that has a good reputation and their bullets have the proper alloy, because you don't want the bullets to be too soft and you don't want them to be too brittle. Either of those things will cause issues with penetration. If the bullet's too soft, then it's going to start to deform, all right? If it's too brittle, then chunks are going to break off. And it looks like in this situation, these bullets got the worst of both. They have brittle characteristics and they're soft, so not good. So I got my digital reloading scale, and I'm going to weigh these bullets, and we're going to see what kind of weight retention we got. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so I got my 100-gram weight here. We're just going to make sure the scale is zeroed out. It's pretty good. All right. And let's start with this one here that penetrated through 3 boards only. 336.6 grains. So that's really bad, guys. It lost a lot of weight. That's not good at all. And I'm going to just add the gas check now So 350 grains with the gas check, so it lost 50 grains because the gas check was attached to it. So 50 grains it lost, which is pretty substantial. And I'm going to add these little chunks and see if these chunks will bring it up to 400. So yeah, almost 400. So it looks like these chunks right here are really what was shed from the bullet mostly. All right, these chunks make up 43 grains together. So 350 grains out of 400 grains, that's a lot of weight loss. And let's go to the one that penetrated through 4 2x10s. 396.8 grains, almost 100% weight retention. So that's really, really good. That's basically 99% weight retention. And then here we have the one that penetrated the deepest through 5 2x10s. 385 grains. And the reason why it's 385 grains is because it lost its gas check, and I'm sure I could dig it out somewhere, but what we'll do is we'll just borrow one of these gas checks here. So with the gas check, 399.1, so basically 100% weight retention. So pretty interesting results, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. I wish I could get my hands on more of this ammo. I only have one box. That's all I could find because it's discontinued. I'm going to possibly do more tests with it. We'll see. But my conclusion is that you're better off just getting the Buffalo Bore 440 grain Hardcasts. Those seem to be the most reliable and deepest penetrating 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum factory bear loads. But that's pretty much it, guys. Take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.